Hey everybody, welcome to today's training. I know this is a little different from what I normally do with my lives trainings on Facebook on Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I wanted to try something else because I've had such a hard time being able to share my screen and share my notes and my slides with you all. So this week I wanted to try dropping a recorded training in the group at 1 p.m., have it a little bit more comprehensive, and a guide for you that has slides that you can see and access as I'm talking. So if you're watching this, comment on that you're watching it. Let me know. If you want a copy of these PowerPoints, let me know. I'm happy to download them into a PDF for you all so you can take notes and follow along. But today we're going to go over the Therapist Guide to Nonprofit Practices, and this is a comprehensive 101 training. So with that said, let's dive in and get started. So in this training, we're going to go over a little bit about me, my background, what I do. We're going to go over some learning objectives for you to walk away with. Section 1, we're going to talk about why you should consider the nonprofit structure. We're going to go a little bit over about the traditional models and their limitations, and we're going to talk about the nonprofit advantage. We're also going to touch base on some myths and reality of nonprofit practices. I'm going to share a case study with you all, and then we're just going to go over conclusion, key insights, success, next steps for you all. All right, so a little bit about me that I'm going to go into. This is my unique experience in the nonprofit sector. I have 15 years of leadership experience, and I'm the founder of a therapy practice. So I've not only contributed to the mental health field, but also this has deepened my understanding of nonprofit leadership through these specialized certifications that I have. I do have a focus in organizational psychology that has enabled me to mentor over 100 therapists. And on my journey towards student loan forgiveness, I go over the financial strategies that can empower you as practitioners. So yeah, so a little bit more. This is really cool. I have a laser pointer here. So if you all have never done this, just a side note, I am recording in PowerPoint, and I've never done this before, but I really like it so far. Anyway, so yeah, I founded my own practice 13 years ago. I guess I've always had this entrepreneurial spirit, which I didn't know lived in me, but I started this when I was in my doctorate program, and I actually developed my nonprofit as my dissertation. I had the option, instead of doing a typical research project, I could do program development. And so one thing led to another, and I ended up turning it into a nonprofit with the encouragement of all of my professors who were helping me at the time. So I feel like I got really lucky in that. And in the beginning of school, they always said, don't make your dissertation your life's work. And I totally did not listen to that, but it has benefited me greatly. After I started my nonprofit practice, I still worked in community mental health for several years, like a whole decade. So at the same time as starting and building my own nonprofit practice, I simultaneously worked in community mental health and worked my way up the ladder into executive leadership. And as challenging as that was to do both things, I really feel like I walked away with so much experience on the ground. And I still felt like I didn't have enough experience. So as soon as I graduated with my doctorate, I enrolled in a program that was nonprofit leadership. Under this program, I got like 7 different certificates in nonprofit leadership, ranging from transformational leadership to board oversight and development to fundraising and grant writing and a bunch of other things that I can't remember off the top of my head. But I did this through Notre Dame University, and they still have this certificate, and it was pretty affordable and reasonable. So if any of you feel like you want to start a nonprofit and you want that educational background, then I recommend doing that certificate. Years later, I started to really get into, working in community health, really understanding like the culture that's often developed, the burnout cycle, the toxicity, started managing people and also providing clinical supervision. And I just felt like I really need to understand organizations as a whole. And my background as a therapist is in systems theory. It's like what I resonate with. I'm really drawn to that theory. So I really felt like I needed to go back and get another certificate in organizational psychology to really understand the systems of community mental health and how they operate and why there are certain organizational behaviors. Because basically what I experienced was no matter which nonprofit I worked in or community mental health agency I worked in, they all experienced very similar problems: high turnover, low pay, toxic cultures, such a hierarchy that there was a gap between leadership and staff on the front lines. So this was like such a huge passion for me as I was in the throes of it in middle management. So I got that certificate, if anyone's interested, from the Chicago School of Professional Psychology, and it was an amazing program. Um, I also really enjoy mentoring therapists. Not only am I a clinical supervisor, I'm an AAMFT approved clinical supervisor in California and Pennsylvania. If any of you have not done that, I highly recommend it. It's pretty rigorous in terms of the amount of supervision you have to have, but it was essential to me. And I am someone who I never feel like, even as the top, clinical supervisor, that you don't need your own clinical supervision or your own therapy around this. So that is something that I'm really passionate about in helping mentor other therapists, not only become licensed therapists, but to become clinical supervisors and do it well. Through all of this, one of the major benefits for me was student loan forgiveness. So obviously, with having a doctorate and all these certificates, I had a massive amount of student loans and just kept plugging away at my hours those 10 years. And when I stepped down from community mental health, I, obviously transitioned to my nonprofit full time, and we are registered with the IRS. So I was able to continue counting my payments towards public student loan forgiveness. And in November of 2024, all of my loans were forgiven. So that was like $363,000 of student loans wiped clean. I'm still in disbelief over it. It's still a shock. I'm used to carrying that burden, that thing on the back burner that's like a ton of money. That's basically like a mortgage that I would never pay off. So yeah, this is a little bit about my experience, and I'm really passionate about teaching therapists that there is another way. You don't have to choose between community mental health and private practice premium rates. There is a blend where you can do the best of both worlds and do that under a nonprofit private practice therapy structure. So I'm going to go into a little bit more about what that means, how to do it. And as you're watching this, if you have questions, please comment and let me know. Okay, so here's what we're going to go over for learning objectives. We are going to focus on the step-by-step guidelines for nonprofit establishment. We are going to equip you with the vital knowledge that you need to know. Understanding the nonprofit advantage is pivotal for effective service delivery. And so I'm going to show you my step-by-step approach. We're also going to explore sustainable funding and governance structures that underpin the successful nonprofit organizations. So by the end of this session, you'll have practical tools and an implementation roadmap to bring your ideas and your vision to fruition. So let's explore a little bit why adopting a nonprofit structure is an effective approach for many therapy and counseling and even wellness practices. These benefits are honestly multifaceted, from allowing organizations to stay true to their mission to effectively addressing client needs and enhancing sustainability within service delivery. So furthermore, by operating under a nonprofit model, we can significantly elevate community impact, which is an essential aspect to the therapeutic and mental health fields. Going back to that dichotomy that we're sort of taught and that is really out there on social media of like, work in community mental health or have your practice that takes insurance and sliding scale and, struggle financially, or charge premium rates and focus on a super niched down area of specialty so that you can charge these premium rates. Like, I have never seen more debate on social media about this, in therapy groups on Facebook, on Instagram, and it gets so nasty. And my whole thing is, obviously stemming back from DBT, like, why aren't we taking the middle path? Why aren't we walking that gray area and living in both spaces? We do deep, hard work that causes us secondary trauma. And so I don't believe in any way sacrificing our financial freedom and what we deserve to get paid as therapists. And I also don't believe in burning ourselves out and meeting the community needs to the point where we end up suffering and not taking care of ourselves. We can do both things under this nonprofit model. So this is why I encourage you all to do that. And what I mean by walk the middle path here is that you can have your super niche down specialty that you do, and you can charge premium rates under a nonprofit, and you can also offer a sliding scale that is not always niche down, that does serve the greater community or focuses on a specific marginalized community within your local area. You can do all of that under the nonprofit umbrella. And the reason why it makes it more sustainable is because of the funding. The funding is different in a nonprofit. When you talk about community mental health, this is the part that they have nailed down, right? They know that there's additional funding that they get through grants, fundraising, donations to offset sliding scales or insurance fees. But what they do wrong is that they grow so big and have so much hierarchy that that creates the toxicity cultures. Whereas private practices often get that part right, where they do focus on therapist well-being, they focus on therapists getting paid well, but they're missing the additional funding streams because as a for-profit, all of that is not tax exempt. You have to pay taxes if you were to do fundraising. So many people don't do it. Many people don't even know that you can do that in a for-profit, but it's not benefiting you. So that's why I'm always talking about, like, let's not split ourselves and have this, polarized view of what and how we should serve people. So I went into this a little bit, but I want to go through the challenges of like the limitations of the traditional model. I think we got to candidly acknowledge these limitations that are inherent in traditional practices. For instance, the sliding scale can restrict access for those in need. We know that, while uninsured clients often find themselves marginalized. Additionally, the pressure for therapists to engage in pro bono work can be both admirable and it's just unsustainable, leading to burnout and further limiting accessibility to services. So we have to recognize these challenges as central to understanding how the nonprofit structure can provide creative solutions. So let's talk about, oh, I'm sorry, this is like in this crazy blue. I don't know why it keeps doing that. I'm going to try and fix that for the downloads, but I'm going to keep going. Hopefully on your screen, it's like not super painful to read. Yeah, I know I changed this. So anyway, I'm going to power through this and try and fix the slides in the download. So transitioning to the nonprofit model communicates obviously a commitment to diverse revenue streams, and it expands the organization's ability to serve all clients effectively. And this is what I meant by the dialectics, walking the gray path, the middle path. It's not black and white, it's not all or nothing, it's not one way or the other way. So the collaboration with community partners, this enhances positive community impact and fosters sustainability in services. What I mean by community partners here is that, and this is a big part of what I teach with funding, is that community partnerships in your local area can really give you access to funding. This can be program funded, which means it's fully paid for by a partner, by a community partner, often by a county partner or a city partner. And it can also be other fee for service type of model in your area. So what happens a lot is that the state has funds divided up to each county for mental health services. It is usually the responsibility of the county, right? So like the actual county, the workers in the county, your government, the government of the county, to determine what are the needs in their county for mental health services and how are they going to spend their funds. Once they determine this, so they're basically doing the needs assessment for you. Once they determine this, they often either um, reach out to partnerships that they already have with local community nonprofits, or they're putting out procurement or an RFP, a request for proposal, for a certain program that they may fund. And sometimes that funding means that they're giving you a lump sum and you need to back into the services that you'll provide in your proposal. So what I mean by that is, like, they may say, we're going to fund, this is actually one that I've worked on before. We're going to fund mental health housing for adults with severe and persistent mental illness. And we're going to fund you, I don't know, let's just say $350,000 a year, plus whatever starting or startup costs that you have. And so you then back into that number of 360,000, which means that's program funded. You can figure out the salaries that you could pay for your staff and then figure out what your startup costs are and put that all in your proposal. Or the county might have funds to provide outpatient therapy for people who are uninsured and aren't on Medicaid, and the county will actually pay for that service. The reason why this is so beneficial is because oftentimes they are paying above market rate. So this is an untapped thing that a lot of for-profit practices don't know about, but community mental health has gotten right because this is what they do. So this is a nonprofit advantage with that. And also, furthermore, as I mentioned, the potential for student loan forgiveness, this adds an appealing, obviously, financial incentive for people to work for you and to work for a nonprofit that aligns with their mission. So this is a great opportunity for you to hire associates and them really gain and have a direct benefit from it. And again, it's different than community mental health because you can pay them more. Remember, you are operating as a micro nonprofit. You are not going to have the overhead that large macro level nonprofits have. So let's talk about a little bit the myths and reality. It's really important to dispel myths surrounding the nonprofit sector. The assumption is that nonprofit professionals earn lower income and fails to account for the competitive salaries that are offered by many organizations. So the complexity of establishing a nonprofit can deter some, but the reality is that when you have the right resources, it can actually be super manageable. Like I said, I've been doing it for the last 13 years. And also, grant writing is often viewed as daunting, and for a lot, it can be, number one, a learnable skill, but also you can outsource it to people who are professional grant writers. You're not expected to have all these skills when you start a nonprofit. And I know there's a myth that, the board has control over you or the practice. You have to change your mindset around this and look at it differently. The governance is actually there to encourage more creativity rather than control. And it really allows you to innovate effectively. And they're there to make sure that you're doing what you say you're doing. The whole point of being a nonprofit and reaping the benefits of being tax exempt means that you have to be transparent with the IRS, which also means you have to be transparent with your board members. They are there to make sure that the nonprofit is doing what it says it's going to do. So it's not about control and power. It's about serving the community. Let's talk about real life example. So many of you may have seen my email that actually went out last night. This was an email highlighting and giving a spotlight to a mid-counseling center in San Francisco, the Bay Area. This was a nonprofit founded by a great friend of mine to focus on the South Asian community. This was founded by Navjot and Rohina, and their mission was to provide culturally responsive care. They both had worked in community mental health for so many years, and they also felt so alone in working in private practice and not serving the community. So they reached out to me sometime during the pandemic or maybe right before the pandemic. So this is like a newer nonprofit, but so successful very quickly. And they had known that I started my nonprofit. And so, I just did some free guidance to them, and they really ran with it, and they built this from the ground up, and it's so amazing to see. But they focus on culturally sensitive, responsive mental health services. They offer multilingual counseling options, so they remove language barriers. They offer sliding scale. They do trauma-informed care, and they also have a contract with their county partner that funds their services. So they actually don't even have to deal with insurance. Their funding is straight through the county. So what they did was they identified a significant gap in this specific culture, and they were able to create accessible services regardless of clients' financial means. And they did that by creating a partnership with their local county partner. So with this, they grew so fast, and they now have 12 plus clinicians working under them. So this is just an example of how you can grow tremendously and make a really good living. I remember talking to them not that long ago and asking like, hey, was this worth it for you? Do you feel like you're making more now in your own nonprofit than you did in community mental health? And would you ever go back? And they were both like, hands down, we would never go back. Like, this has been such an amazing experience, and they wouldn't trade it for the world. All right, so just to kind of wrap up, hopefully you have a better idea of understanding what you need to do to establish a nonprofit, and how this can empower you to take steps in this direction. I know that a lot of you have been thinking about this and wondering if it's worth it, understanding the benefits of the nonprofit model alongside the challenges to overcome. As long as you're using effective organizational strategies and knowing how nonprofits run, having the knowledge behind it. So what you need to do from here is to think about, okay, how can I get registered in my state as a nonprofit? So what you're doing is, instead of registering as an S Corp or an LLC, you're going to register as a C Corp with your Secretary of State. So no different than setting up any other business. And then when you're ready, you're going to fill out the 1023 application for the IRS 501c3 status. I help with all of that if you need it. So part of what I do is I offer a full comprehensive coaching program that is lifetime access to the online course, which just goes into everything you need to run a nonprofit. And then along with that, I offer 12 weeks of group coaching with me. Group coaching is twice a week. And I also have a mindset coach that works with me. And I have a grant writer and fundraiser on my team. And I also have a board expert and operational expert who comes in and does coaching as well. And you get access to my VIP Facebook group, and also my through email. So I'm available through email Monday through Friday, and I answer any questions that you have outside of the coaching calls. So that is my comprehensive coaching program. Again, it's online, self-paced program that you have lifetime access to, and then 12 weeks of group coaching. That's where you also get to meet and network with other people who are starting nonprofits. And then I also have a done for you package if you just need my help in setting up the nonprofit. So that's registering with your state, helping you complete the 1023 application, doing mission and vision development, board development, and doing a comprehensive business plan that includes a roadmap with timelines and obtainable goals through like the next 1 to 3 years. The cost of that is $997. The cost of my full coaching program is $3,900, which is honestly a really great deal. I've seen a lot of programs out there that are going for so much more, and I'm really proud of this program. I poured my heart and soul into it. I, took everything that I've learned over the last 15 years and packaged it for you in digestible, obtainable steps so that you don't make the same mistakes or had the same delays or challenges that I had when I was starting my nonprofit. So if you're interested in scheduling a consultation with me, let me know. We offer a free 45-minute consultation for the full coaching program so we can get to know you, give you some feedback, some advice, go over the program in detail. And then if you're interested in the Done For You package, which is that $9.97, then I just do a free 15-minute consult to get you up and running. And then I have like a full onboarding form for you to fill out. And that comes with 2 one-on-one coaching calls with me. So hope this was helpful. Let me know if you'd like these slides or any more information on what we went over today. And let me know if you like this format. I'm happy to do other free pre-recorded courses and post them in the Facebook group. All right, happy Friday. Have a great weekend.